Jeez. Welcome back to another episode on Mainly Rust, Some Restoration. So we've been asked if we can take a look at this 14-ton Doosan behind us. I think it's a 14-ton, yeah, DX140. Yes, we've been asked if we can take a look at this Doosan. I believe the machine was tracked in here, no problem. It was just parked up. I don't really know how long ago either, to be honest. I know personally it's been here a fair few years. Just the time that I've been coming back and forth here. I'm not sure what the plan is with this machine, whether they're going to look to sell it or shift it on or reuse it. Who knows? We get it running, it might go straight back out on hire. But as you can see, it's fallen to the undergrowth here. We've got a fair bit of clearance work to do first, just so we can get at it. We can't even open the door on the other side because there's trees growing right up against it. So we'll get this cleared. I won't bother filming it. We'll just cut, and when we cut back, all this will be clear. But as you can see, it has been here some years. So we're going to see if we can't revive this old girl. I'm not sure on the year, actually. Once we clear a bit of the front away, I'm sure we can get at. I think the data plate is on the other side of the cab on these. So once we clear this front away, we can get to that and we'll enlighten you on how old this machine actually is. Obviously, it's a lot newer than everything we typically display on the channel. Far too new for us to own. But we're going to implement the same principles as we would on any other piece of equipment. Go through and check everything, chuck some batteries on her, and see what she's got to offer. So, quick 20 minutes with a brush cutter has got us some better access around here now. I don't think we actually needed to cut down this side, because looking in this door now, there's not really much interest. All we've got over here is a hydraulic pump, so I don't think we're going to have any business in here. Hopefully not, anyway. If we do, it means we've got big trouble. But here's the data plate. What is she? Oh, it's a lot newer than I thought it was. She's a 12 plate. It's brand new.
Yeah, for us it is, yeah.
Brand new. Right. I think we'll run through now. We'll have a quick check. We'll check over the fluids. Yeah. And then I think we'll put some batteries on it. I've got a funny feeling this is going to burst straight into life, you know.
I like your optimism.
I think it's just going to fire straight up. I don't know whether it is because it's a lot newer than what we usually work on. I can't see there being much issues.
So we can use the acronym we use is FETCH. Fuel, engine oil, transmission, coolant, hydraulics. So we'll have a look at those, see what levels we got.
Apart from transmission. Yeah. Null and void in this case.
Null and void.
I'm also going to check this filter, make sure we haven't got any rodent homes. We got to check.
Nothing that could block the...
No.
Nothing.
Oh, that secondary filter looks brand new. That's a good sign, mind. Means the primary is doing this job. Right, that's good. Nothing untoward in there. Oh. There is one of the teeth off the bucket anyway.
Kept in there for storage.
Overrated the teeth anyway. Don't need them.
So that's
I think that's
fuel
about it.
filter there, yeah.
There's got diesel in the site, that's a good sign. It doesn't appear to be any water in the bottom of there either, which was one of my concerns, to be honest. I think the biggest issue we're going to have with this, or what's going to give us the most problems, if there's any electrical issues. Just given how, how complex these machines are now with ECUs and different control modules, servo controls for the hydraulics. If we have got any electrical issues, then it may be a no-go, but we'll cross that bridge when we come to it. I'm going to jump up here now and check if I can get up. There's no step. She's the wrong way around. Whoa. It's a big one. I have to get some gloves and pull that one out. Looks quite clean in there, considering.
Yes, yeah, we've got a
Few cobwebs. Right. Let's check if we got coolant. Yep. He's full.
Yep.
Bit of a film on top there, but nah, it's not. It's not. Yes, plenty of oil.
Yep.
There we go.
Is it?
Tucked in there, look. Plenty of hydraulic oil in it.
Yeah.
It's up there.
Yeah.
Overfull of it, man. Right, so I think then we'll get some batteries on it. You bump it over very gingerly on the key to start. Make sure we can get a full rotation up there. I guess it's straight into giving it a whirl. Like I say, I don't think we're gonna have any trouble with this. No. Just going to give this a quick try just with a booster pack actually, because the batteries we've brought, I don't think they're going to fit in there without taking this plate off. So we're just going to give this a quick try first. We haven't had much success in the past just using a booster mind, but for all intents and purposes we'll give it a whirl. It's failing now, we'll have to just take this plate off. Not a big, not a massive job, but for the 2 seconds it takes to hook this up.
Don't know what sort of connections you've got there.
Pack's not on. Yeah?
I think that should be on. Well, that's off. That's on. See if we've got any light.
Yeah, just turn the ignition on for now, see if anything pop. Heaters are on anyway.
Heaters are on, heaters are working. We've got life.
What's that beeping? wonder if that's for the hitch.
Could be.
What are we saying then? Is there any fuel in it?
Half a tank of fuel.
Half a tank? That should be right. Well, it will be alright, as long as there's no water in it.
Give it a go.
Has it got any preheat on it?
It's preheat, is it?
No. Should be the other way. Try the other way. Nothing?
Don't know if there's any. How would you know if there was preheat on it?
No, but you got the starter engaged there, man.
Oh no, I haven't turned it that extra.
Haven't you? You got this all the way. Nothing.
Nothing.
Nothing at all.
Nothing at all.
Not a whirl. Just make sure that don't go up. Nothing? There's not a mobiliser on it. Ah.
Too modern for us.
Hang on, do it again. We're going to relay clicking out here, so I'm like, hang on. Do it again. The solenoid clicking out here. I'm gonna say we're not getting any power to the starter. Right, so we're not getting anything from the starter whatsoever at the minute. Not even a click. But what we have got to click on is this relay here. So I'm inclined to think that this relay or solenoid is what, when the ignition is flicked over to the start position, this energizes, sends a 24 volt feed back to the starter, which should engage the solenoid and starter on the engine. But I don't think that is happening at the minute. But this sounds like it is energizing. There's a distinctive click when the ignition is thrown over. So I'm just going to run some quick tests with a multimeter and try and chase this or trace this power hopefully back to the starter motor. If I put a positive on one of these legs of the solenoid, I'll take the good earth straight back to the boost back. Alright, flick it over. Off. Hang on, that might be our probably live permanently on that leg with ignition on. That's our power into the solenoid. And in theory, this side of the solenoid, flick it over. We should get 24 out, or 23.4. Yeah, we're a little low on the power, but we are getting our power on the out leg there. Right, off. Ignition off. Ignition back on a minute. So just with the ignition on, we get a 24 volt feed, coming into the solenoid on this leg, and then we've got nothing out until the key is thrown over to the start position. So if we throw that over into start, we should get our voltage out. Yeah. So solenoid's functioning correctly at this end. So hopefully if we trace this back now, so we can see, oh well, you can see that on the camera, we've got a yellow wire coming off this solenoid. So we'll trace that back now. Hopefully we've got a matching yellow wire going onto the solenoid on the starter. So we trace our power now backwards to the starter. Right, so we're at the back of the machine now. I'm actually underneath the counterweight. Fortunately for us, the inspection plate's off underneath the machine. So we've got good access here to the starter. I did try and get to it from dropping down from the engine hatch, but it was too deep in the bottom of the machine. But I can get to it from here. So what we've got our main starter motor here, and then we've got a solenoid underneath which throws the dog out on the starter motor to engage it with the flywheel. And it looks like we've got another, hard to tell from here, mate, but it looks like we've got another little solenoid on the side of this starter just here. And that looks like this could be the other end of the wire that we were just testing on the solenoid at the front of the machine. Now it's hard to tell for me down here whether that is a yellow wire. It looks like it is. You guys can probably see that better than me. It looks to be yellow. So hopefully that is our wire that's coming from our solenoid at the front of the machine. So I'm just going to run some, should be alright for light, isn't it? Just going to run a quick test. Now you guys are going to have to believe me because I'm not going to be able to hold the multimeter up in view for you while I do this.
Switch it on.
But the first thing I'm going to check is this starter should have its own constant 24 volt feed coming to it when the starter's on. When the ignition is on. Some machines run them 24 volt constant, ignition on or not. Some are energized on the ignition.
Ignition's off now.
But let's just check this. Get a good contact on here. I'm just going to pick a good earth on a bolt underneath here. Right, if we can turn the ignition on. So I've got nothing on that at the minute with the ignition off. Ignition on. Yeah, we've got 24 volt there now. So that's good. So we've got our main power feed coming up to the start solenoid. So the next thing we need to check then is whether this is being energized when that ignition switch is thrown over to start. I'm going to try and get a decent contact on this. Right, if we can throw that over to start. Yeah, we're getting voltage. Yeah, so we are getting our voltage from that front solenoid back here to the starter. That's good. So for those who are not familiar on how our starter motor works, and this is pretty much the same for any vehicle really, that's got a starter motor. So this main red wire coming in here, that's our 24 volt feed coming in directly from the battery. And that goes to one side of this big solenoid here that's on the starter motor. Now that's obviously live once the ignition's on, but this solenoid doesn't get energized until this contact here and that contact there is bridged to make a connection. Now the way these are controlled is by this solenoid. So we got our 24 volt feed coming in here, and then as soon as we flick that ignition switch over to the start position, we get a 24 volt feed coming down this line into this solenoid. And what that does, that throws a contact inside this solenoid that bridges this leg and this leg of the solenoid and allows power to pass through. So you can see here, look, we've got this line coming into the solenoid, which is all pulled off our 24 volt feed into the starter. And then when we energize this line, it throws a contact in here and it allows that 24 volt to run out of this cable onto this side of the solenoid, and it makes that contact so this solenoid gets power. So there's two elements then to the starter motor. We've got this solenoid here and the actual motor itself. So the purpose of this solenoid is when this is energized, it throws out the pinion gear on the starter motor to engage with the teeth on the flywheel. And then at the same time, it also brings power or supplies power onto the motor itself. So in one motion, when you flick that key across the start, this energizes, throws the gear out into the flywheel and powers up this motor to spin the engine over. And then as soon as you take away that power, the pinion retracts, so pulls the cog away from the flywheel, because obviously we don't want this starter motor spinning consistently with the engine running. So that pinion gear retracts and then the starter motor shuts off. So we've got a couple of things that could be wrong here. Either this solenoid is faulty and we're not getting a bridge in, or it's not operating internally, which, thinking about it now, I'm actually inclined to think that might be our issue, because I'm not hearing any click whatsoever back here once the ignition is flicked across. So we could be looking at a faulty solenoid here. Another option could be that this solenoid is faulty. We're not getting a connection internally here. And thirdly, we could have a C starter or weak brushes. But if that was the case, I would still expect to hear this solenoid engaging. So even though that motor wouldn't be spinning, I would still expect to see or hear this solenoid flicking the pinion gear out. One thing I am going to try actually before we dive into this any deeper, I'm just going to try bridging. So I'm going to bypass this solenoid and get a bit of wire, and I'm just going to bridge from here to the other side of that solenoid and just see if we get anything out of that starter motor. If that starter energizes by doing that, then I think we can safely say our issue is up here with this secondary solenoid, which I'm surprised it's got it on, to be honest, because we've already got one solenoid at the front end. So I just get a bit of wire. I hope you guys can see this well enough. I'm just going to use, what I've got is an old battery lead. It's not ideal, but it should bridge it enough, and it's a thick enough gauge wire that it shouldn't melt in my hands. Right, so if you can turn the ignition on.
Yeah.
Just onto the on position, not to start.
Yeah.
I'll bridge these.
Yeah.
And we'll see what happens. On. That's a lot of sparks. Was it? Or was that coming up through the engine bay? Right, I think we have got something out of that starter, mind? Yeah, we have. Right, so I'm inclined to say our issues with this solenoid up here. Right. So here's that solenoid off the machine. So it's pretty simple really in its function, when it works. But all I'm going to do now, I'm going to put a 24 volt feed into here. I'm going to earth this solenoid on one of these feet. This would typically be earthed back through the engine, through the earth strap and into the frame of the machine. So I'll put our ground off the booster pack on here. I'll put our 24 volt positive onto there, and then in theory, if this is operating as it should, if I do a continuity check across those two legs, we should get continuity, because this solenoid should be bridging inside. But I don't think it is. So just pinch these off here a minute. So pop the bolt back in there. Like so. So if we connect up to there. Make sure we got a good ground. Flick this on. Now I would have expected to hear that click when I was energized. So I'm going to put our multimeter on continuity. Just verify that by shorting out the two probes, like that. So in theory, if this is doing what it should be doing, Nothing.
Nothing.
No continuity whatsoever through it. So here's our fender.
Just verify again,
Yeah.
touch your nose.
I'll just check the other way around just in case. Nothing.
And we've got 24 to there.
Just verify that. There we are. I've got power coming through here. Yep.
Yep. So
There's our problem.
dodgy solenoid.
Dodgy solenoid. Alright, so we've got this little switch wired up here in place of the solenoid down here. Now this in theory should do exactly what the solenoid would be doing. Now I'm not sure on the rating of this, so one of two things is going to happen here. Either it's going to work flawlessly or this thing's going to melt in my hand. But I guess we're about to find out. Yeah? Right. That's a good sign. So that is working. Right, so we'll, the engine is actually turning over, but as we suspected initially, that booster pack's just not going to cut the mustard. So, we'll get some batteries on this. We'll try it again. Well, I honestly thought the next clip you were about to see would be this thing bursting into life, and then we would be well on our way to getting this thing tracked out of where it is. Instead, we're here with the starter motor off. So, we haven't included it in the video, right, because it would have just been 2 hours of us to in and fro in different battery setups. But basically, we threw some batteries on this thing, still had the same outcome. It's still, so I think we're dealing with a lazy or failing starter. I mean, we had all the power going to this thing. We had 2 batteries on it. We had the booster pack on that battery providing 24 volts. We had a booster pack directly on the starter motor. Still the same. And there's a really strange clicking coming from the solenoid as well. So I think we're dealing with a dodgy starter. What we did do before we took it off, mind, we went through, pulled all the wiring off, cleaned everything up. It was a little bit dirty, nothing crazy, but cleaned it all up, took everything back to a nice copper finish, cleaned all the connections this end. We've done a voltage test, voltage drop test from the front to the back. We wouldn't get any voltage drop through the cabling, so I'm pretty confident our issues now with the cabling or the wiring back to the starter. So I'm not sure now whether we're gonna just go ahead and we're gonna take this apart and change the bushes, or I might send this off and get it tested just to be certain. So that's what we're about to do now. For us, it may be a few days till we get this back. For you guys, it'll be a split second and you'll rejoin us. And we've either got this fixed or we've got a new starter motor. Well, it's been a few days. I've had a haircut, swapped my shirt for one where the buttons are not going to fly off. But more importantly, we've got a new starter. So, as expected, the original one was completely foolbad. We sent it off to be tested. And the prognosis on that was beyond economical repair. For what it would have cost in fixing it, we were able to obtain a new starter, albeit it is not a genuine starter. The main stealer wanted, I think it was 500 plus VAT for a new unit direct from them, so safe to say we went with an alternate option. But I'll insert a quick clip now of what the original starter was doing. So we tested it off the machine also, so you can see exactly what was going on with the old one. And as you can hear, it sounded like a AK-47. But in comparison, I'll just show you what this fresh starter sounds like. We'll spin this up quickly now, using this boost pack. The touchies on the back of the main solenoid. But in comparison, there's a lot more life in that. So we'll get this on the machine now, pretty sharpish. We'll give it another go. Will it start? Right then. Moment of truth.
Off with the heat. Ready?
Ah! What a babe! No bother. That was almost a little bit anticlimactic, wasn't it? Ah. Well, fair play, that is running sweet as that. She's responding to the throttle input. See there?
Started for 6 or 7 years, I think.
It was that long, is it? Fair enough, which was as long as we've had. I'm not sure why, but a lot of these rocker switches over here are popped off. I'm going to try and reinstate these. Then we will what they call. Spotlight? Spotlight? Spotlight. Oh! Oh, look at gas. Cool. Yeah, I don't know why these would be off. Oh, back on it. Fuel heater. Oh, the carbon lights. Oh yeah, that's right, look. So I guess that's our flow selection. So we're running breaker or shear. What have we got in? Well, that was the interior light on it. What's wrong with that fuel heater on? Oh yeah, it's a double, we got the carb lights, carb illumination, and the lower work lights. Oh, and the boom light. As you may be able to tell, it's going dark pretty quick, yeah. See what she looks like. Tidy. Right, we'll leave it there for now. I can't see anything inside that cab. Pick this back up tomorrow. Well, I think that went as good as it possibly could have. That starter motor has done the trick, as you've just seen. We were quite eager to see if this thing would start last night, so we threw, we didn't have the batteries on them, so we threw a jump pack on, and it made it quite interesting because obviously given these new machines, they run on like servo controls, there's a lot of electronics going on. I guess the booster pack wasn't giving the machine quite as much power as it needed, so we had a toss up between having the lights on, given it was dark, or having the controls working. A couple of times there, the controls just completely dropped out as the battery voltage deteriorated. So we thought it was best to park it up for the evening, and we're back on it today now. We've got 2 fresh batteries on it that are correct for the machine, so these will be staying on here now. No need to pull these off. It's got a few niggles, as you would expect. Nothing major though, which is pretty good news.
It's not bad seeing it's been parked up.
No, considering it's been parked up, it is pretty sound. First thing, these track levers, as you would expect, they're a little bit stiff, and they are sticking. So we'll have a quick look at them now, see if we can free them up. Left side track seemed to be, in the little that we did track it about, the left side track seemed to be a little bit lazy. But I think that's just going to free up. It just needs to be tracked back and forth a little. And the other electrical fault that we have at present is when the ignition's turned on, everything boots up as it should. But when you turn the ignition back off, the engine stops, but the screen is not shutting off. Now, I think we've got potentially an issue with the main solenoid over here, the main battery contact solenoid, which is basically your main on and off for your 24-volt power for the machine. This solenoid here. So I'm gonna run some quick tests on this now. What I think's happening is when this is initially getting powered up, it's latching, but then when the key is turned off, I think this thing is sticking on. It's not freeing off. So I don't know whether there's some sort of funky business going on inside there, when there's a short circuit. Because when you initially connect the power up, it stays delatched. It doesn't latch until you turn the ignition on. It's only at that point then when you knock the ignition off, it seems to be staying latched. So we'll do a quick test on that now to see if that is the case. But I think plan then, we'll track her out here.
Run her up. Give it a.
Yeah, we'll give it a cycle all the hydraulics, bring everything up to temperature. Make sure there's nothing funky going on. See if she can shift some dirt. Right, so all I'm going to check with this solenoid is, one, have we got a switched feed coming in? So we should have 24 volts coming in this line.
Yeah.
And then two, is whether that shuts off when the ignition's turned off. If this is
live all the time.
If this is permanently live,
Yeah.
then our issues elsewhere. But if this is switched,
Yeah.
and we are dropping power off this when the ignition's off, then
It's that is not
there must
unlatching.
be something inside that's stopping this delatching, whether it's shorted out or what.
So I go and
yeah,
activate
you're gonna
it?
have to go and jump in the cab. Set our scale right on the multimeter.
Okay, tell me when.
Hang on. Okay, ignition on.
Ignition on.
Yeah, we've got 24 volts there.
Ignition off.
Off.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're dropping power as well. We must have an internal issue with this.
Well, not unlatching.
Yeah. Yeah, so just to show you what is actually happening, look, if I connect that back up. Right, if you turn the ignition on.
Yeah.
So ignition's on now, we could do that solenoid latch. But if you turn that ignition back off.
Yeah, screen's still on in here.
Yeah, so ignition's off, the barrel's off in the cab now, but the control screen is still on. And this hasn't delatched, but if I pull this wire off it, you can hear it delatch.
Yeah, screen's off in here now.
So I'm not sure if there's something going on inside that solenoid, but we can dive into that a little deeper, so I'm going to stop the machine running for now. Right, so I'm just going to see if we can do anything with these control levers from inside the cab. I've just had a quick look underneath, and there's a plate that needs to come off underneath if we want to access anything under there. But I'm going to peek through the light. It looks like these go directly into a little spool valve anyway, so I'm not sure we're going to accomplish much even if we do take it off.
Just little plungers there.
Yeah, it looks like they just depress a plunger. But they seem to be, the actual valve itself seems to be returning fine.
Yeah, it's just that pedal in
I
there.
think it's the pivot on there. So if we
Bit of lubrication on.
Get a bit of jungle juice on them.
Could do with going in the other side as well, can we?
Yeah, you might have to jump up in here now and which other one. Pull these boots up.
Can't exactly see where I'm going. Those boots don't come off a sec.
better already.
Yeah, spray a bit more in. Oh, sorry.
That's be my fingers. Try and get on the other side.
No, well, that's the rubber mat helping us to push it back. I think it's just wear.
It'll be loose, wouldn't it?
It needs to wear in, you know what I mean?
Stiff, you mean?
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Free up.
Yes.
Ah, he's getting better, look. He's going back on his own now.
Yeah.
Just pull the boot off out of the one over there.
Okay. That's it. You've got him. Look at there.
And, shoot it in it.
Let's go hit the spot.
More the merrier. The one other thing I do want to check as well is like see if she's make sure she's charging. A bit more.
Yeah.
Alright, hold it there.
That's a lot freer now, that one.
I'm just trying to free that, thinking, oh, that one's stiff as well, it's a footrest.
Seems to be working alright. Fuel level's gone up, well. The new batteries.
Right. Try not to crash into the burger van. Hot dogs for T-boys! If you know, you know. If you don't know, then you really do need to know. One thing I do want to check is the track tension.
Yeah, I noticed she's... Huh? You don't know it's too tight there. Try the other side.
Still got plenty of power. Well, I think that just about concludes this one. I think we can call this one a success. It's running sweet, isn't it? Honestly, you'd never think this machine had been parked up for years. The track levers seem to be freeing off now as they get used, and so does that track motor. There's no issues with that anymore. And one little bonus, I've just switched it off now, and that solenoid seems to be working again. So we'll keep an eye on that. We will disconnect the batteries though, just for peace of mind, so they don't drain. But yeah, I mean, what can we say?
I think she'll be put back to work.
Yeah, I think the intention is to put it back to work. Full service now. I think you're going to go ahead and give it a full service to all the oils, filters. It's been greased up before anybody says it has had grease. But yeah, as always, guys, thank you for watching. If you have enjoyed, please give us a like or drop us a comment down below. We love having your feedback. Yeah.
And I'd like to say it's purely coincidental that Thomas is wearing an orange shirt to blend in with the Doosan.
Yeah, go dress for the occasion, as they say.
Until next time.
Thanks for watching, guys. See you on the next one.